You leave behind the pristine vineyards, tourist buses, and affluent shops of Napa County. This is a different California, rural, poor, and a bit precarious. It's Napa's rougher neighbor, Lake County. Here in the 90s, some friends set up a pirate radio station in a backyard shed, hitched an antenna to a nearby tree, and began broadcasting their conversations. They're still on the air today.
You are tuned in to KPFZ 88.1 FM. This is Lake County Community Radio. Stay tuned for a new Wake Up and Thrive.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Senior Moments.
This is KPFZ 88.1, and please stay tuned for Turning Point.
It's incredibly small budget operation. I think the local newspaper probably spends more on newsprint every month than we spend every year to keep this going.
Hello, caller, you're on the air. You know, when you use the word diversity, I can't think of a better example than community radio. At least in Lake County, that's about the most diverse group of people you'll ever find.
And how did the pagan show get on? Willow, who just walked through the door, said, "We have too many Christians on this station. We need some pagans." It was a good argument.
I would say, you know, just kind of holding it down, kind of like a small town newspaper, but it's not the newspaper everyone reads.
In 2015, KPFZ's broadcasts made national headlines during a wildfire that ripped through Lake County. I wondered about these voices and how programmers at a little volunteer hippie station took to their microphones to help hold their community together.
It was windy. I was out walking my dog. I was walking around feeling like, wow, it's a windy, windy day. This is like abnormally windy. And then we came back home. I was on the porch back here and started seeing the smoke rise. I mean, I grabbed my writings, my essential writings, my family photos, and my guitar and threw them in the car.
I just had to go out for a prescription. I stood in the parking lot of the grocery store and we first saw some smoke. That's way far away. That couldn't possibly get to us. And I never got home.
911, you're reporting an emergency?
Yes, a fire right here on the compound, Highway 175. My wife has fallen. We're both 82, and I can't pick her up.
I have a friend. They're surrounded by fire. She says they can't get out. Okay, stay on the line. I'm going to get you a Cal Fire. I want everybody to get out of the house, okay? Stay on the line with me. Okay, we're going to get out.
I told my wife, I said, let's get our keys and let's go. All I had on was a pair of shorts, a t-shirt, and my slippers. This whole ranch was on fire and it was coming across the highway.
My son was like, what about you? I said, well, you know what? Don't worry about me. Just drive.
I don't see Mom. Hopefully she makes it out. First, Ducky, go stop. Go. I love you, Frankie. I love you too.
Mom.
I know, honey, I'm scared too. Okay, I'm scared too. Pray, just pray. We're gonna make it out okay.
I told him I would drive till the wheels fell off and keep driving. I promise you, I will get you out of here.
It was very scary. It was probably one of the most scariest things I've been through. I didn't know if we were going to make it.
In the chaos of the first hours, county officials failed to trigger emergency alerts. Because of downed power lines and spotty cell phone coverage, some reverse 911 calls didn't get through. Over and over again, you heard people say they had only minutes to escape.
We made it down past what would ultimately burn, calling family, yeah, we're okay. We flipped on KPFZ and realizing, well, is this a rerun on KPFZ right now? It seemed like for a couple of us, the light bulb went off at the same time. We just looked at each other. We have to go to the station. Greetings, everybody. This is Nils here at KPFZ. We are just getting dialed in here. It was obvious even in the first hours of the emergency that there was a need for information. People were very hungry and thirsty for information. They're reporting 0% containment. State of emergency declared.
Mandatory evacuations right now.
This is very fast moving. Do not wait. Do not hesitate.
The hashtag, if you're following on Twitter, is wildfire.
Caller, you're on the air.
Just to let you know, the fire has jumped the highway on 29.
That's right, we got our community correspondents on the ground out there, man. Gratitude for that.
Everything was in perfect alignment. The fuels, after 4 years of drought, tinder dry. The wind changed everything on this fire. Once it got up and running, the wind was in charge, we weren't.
It actually started to pulsate. It was like a drone, boom, boom. It was very aggressive, angry fire.
CAL FIRE tells us there's 1,000 personnel, 125 engines, and 30 crews out there. There are apparently 40,000 acres burning in the southern part of the county.
We're firefighters, we go out, we tackle the challenge, and we take control. And that just wasn't happening. I never got that feeling of we were finally winning.
There was nothing humanly possible to stop that fire from doing what it wanted to do. This was a historic fire. It was the third most devastating fire in California's history.
The Valley Fire was a monster. Everybody said so. It started in a yard on Cobb Mountain and raced downhill toward communities below. Firefighters stopped trying to contain the fire and instead did all they could to get people out of harm's way.
It was chaos. You got to get that. I mean, 17,000 people evacuated from the fire area.
There wasn't any other central service set up for the fire except us, and we didn't set it up consciously.
Everything just stopped as far as normal operations at the radio station.
There were people who come in and taking, 6-8 hour shifts or working the whole night through.
There was no plan, and there was no policy, there was no procedure, no direction. Nobody ordered anybody to do anything. We just worked it out.
There are evacuation shelters that are set up in the Kelseyville Presbyterian Church, the Moose Lodge.
Show up to one of those places, show some love, see how you can serve. And if you got a space to stay, there's so many refugees, call us, we'll add you to the list, and we will continue sharing that out.
We were doing radio that was sort of like a crisis line, a catch-all crisis line.
The request that we got from the Moose Lodge, they need tarps.
You have his number now?
Yeah, Hippie Joe in Upper Lake. He's on Elk Mountain Road in Upper Lake. Space for horseboarding and animals.
Cat litter may be next, because a lot of these people, they have their cats in their cars.
Flashlights and batteries on their wake, so those folks will not be in the dark.
KPFZ programmers put together a packet of vital information, printed it, and dropped it at local shelters. They beat official county bulletins by weeks. Sorting through TV news reports, ham radio dispatches, Twitter feeds, Facebook posts, and official briefings, programmers translated all of it for their neighbors to use. As long as you were in range and had a working radio, you could stay connected.
And there was also a very loving, kind of very holy thing happening. It's hard to describe, but it was very, very loving, and we were taking care of each other.
Thanks for all the work you're doing. Wanted to let you know that the Star Shop is serving free lunch. We have baby clothes, we have men, women, and children clothes.
Por favor, hablen a la estación KPFZ y ahí les pueden ayudar a donde se pueden comunicar para que les ayuden.
Anyone needs a place to stay, food, blankets.
I've got extra room in my house for up to 4 people.
I've got hot pasta about to be served up if anybody needs a hot lunch.
Oh, it sounds good.
I'm a longtime member of Alcoholics Anonymous and a recovering alcoholic. Can call me anytime, night or day.
Thank you, KPFZ 88.1 FM. Everyone be safe out there. We've got another caller. Caller, you are on the air.
When I first arrived at the hotel with no computer and no cell phone, there was just a little clock radio by the bed. A little plastic thing with just the little red. It was even the wrong time. It only got one radio station. I didn't know who they were. I'd never heard that station before.
So we're coming up to the midnight hour. It's 11:55. We are going to have continuous live radio all night long and all morning. Please feel free to call. We're here for you.
There was somebody who was on one night, and it was 2:30 in the morning. He just wasn't sure anybody was listening, and I thought, well, I need to let him know I'm listening.
I just can't thank you guys enough. We're scared and we're in shock and going through different waves of keeping it together and then losing it. It's pretty overwhelming.
You're not alone in this. We're all feeling, this whole panorama of emotions around this.
They were wonderful voices. These people were a heartbeat that connected to all of us. That got me through those few days.
The nonstop radio broadcast continued for a few weeks, even after the fire was contained. You can understand that some programmers who'd been asked to give up their shows felt bossed around by colleagues leading the fire coverage. They wanted their shows back and complained. Just as firmly, the fire team held to their mission. Listeners were also divided. Like many things in life, it got messy. Early one morning, KPFC's board of directors taped a notice on the studio door, announcing that the station would immediately return to its regular broadcast schedule. Some programmers protested, but the board's decision held. In the months that followed, Lake County began its slow recovery, and KPFC launched several new shows.
This is Betsy Kahn, and we're hosting today Lake County Community Radio's special programming to support the long-term recovery. I think the key term we are here to talk about today is unmet needs.
2,500 people have signed up for some sort of FEMA assistance, and the damage estimated at $1.5 billion.
And now it's time for Keela the Magic Huskies Ham Radio College. Of course, there are a lot of people who live here in Lake County with no cell phone coverage, and I strongly encourage you to think seriously about getting a ham radio license because it's an awesome way to stay in communication at all times, especially when there's fires going on.
One of the coolest things is seed balls. What you do is you get yourself some clay, make a little pancake out of it, and in the middle of that you put a pinch of seed, and when they're dry, you throw them out into the landscape.
Whenever I see a weed, I just want to get in there and get it on out. This is what home ownership is all about. Weeding. It was so beautiful, and it wasn't fancy, and it was nothing grand. This is the house. So that's my bedroom. I instantly could, I'm imagining just laying down on my bed right now. So this whole side of the house was just the bedroom and my spacious bathroom. And then just this nature, and it was just such a treat. It was just...
So you really made your mind up to be back here?
No, not at all. I'm not sure that the obstacles aren't prohibitive. Is this even the right spot for me anymore? This is more of a young person's property. But it's a funny thing about home. It's like it's a weird human thing. But this is home. My home.
The fire destroyed over 1,300 homes. Even many months later, you only see about 100 new houses in the landscape. Some homeowners were underinsured. Others couldn't meet strict new building codes. Renters also lost their homes. Many displaced residents had no choice but to leave Lake County. Some whose houses were spared lost their neighborhoods and 100-foot trees that would take decades to grow back. They faced an agonizing decision, whether to stay or go. Everyone was affected. People in Lake County will tell you there was life before the Valley Fire and now a new normal just coming into view.
Brand new day, you guys. It's Tuesday, February 16th. You're listening to Wake Up and Thrive. My name is Nils. You know, it's obviously been many months now. The rains have come, but we know that there's a deep healing process still going on.
In Lake County, normal has to include the kind of crisis response that we have. This place is so hazard prone. In a small rural place like this, it's people helping each other that make it work. I have to go to work now.
When we started this station, this was about politics and music and reacting to the community, but I don't think emergency stuff was a huge thing. Do we want to be that? In an area where we may be the only game in town, then we got to think we're a big part of doing something in response.
Deep gratitude to all of our callers who called up during this hour, fulfilling. Now that the smoke is cleared, we all have a really important calling to heed, because the fire came for many people who lost everything, and it was a total nightmare. And for many folks who didn't lose everything but were still very much affected, it was like a practice. It was like a test. It was like a warning. When the emergency was happening, we were obviously in a different mode, and we were taking care of each other. And now the question is, how much will we remember from that experience? Thanks KPFZ, thanks Lake County. Keep growing, keep doing your thing, and we'll see you next time. Much love.